Hi, welcome to Movies Moment. Today we are going to explain a movie called Consumed. Spoilers ahead. Subscribe if you like this and catch us on the next one. Take care.
After a sinister nightmare, Bette wakes up scared early in a tent. Next to her is her husband, Jay, who is still sleeping peacefully. Bette leaves the tent and decides to walk a bit through the forest to calm down from the nightmare, which still made her hands tremble. After breathing in and looking at the horizon from the top of a hill, Bette returns to her tent when the sun is already high. Jay mentions that he changed some things from her backpack to his, as hers was too heavy. They decide to follow a trail that will only take half a day to reach the marked point. Jay and Bette are celebrating 1 year since Bette was cured of cancer, and they plan to do this in the way they love most, hiking and camping, as they are quite accustomed to. However, they have no idea what awaits them this time. Bette is still not 100% after her cancer remission, and because of this, she feels a bit of difficulty in making the hike, injuring herself in the process. Jay tries to encourage her and reminds her of all the times they have adventured together in various places. He suggests that it is okay to want to turn back and continue on a safer path, but Bette is determined to go this way, which is the less traveled and more adventurous trail, as she has always been used to doing. Jay carries both backpacks, while Bette's effort to continue is noticeable. Near the end of the afternoon, they stop at a point to set up the tent and spend the night. Bette says she will go to a nearby stream to wash her wound, and while there, she cries, remembering how she used to be and how debilitated she is now. However, while washing, she sees an animal's body in the middle of the stream. Jay checks it out and says it appears to be a bear, which, however, is bizarrely completely skinless. Jay says he has never seen anything like this before and does not know what could have caused it to the animal. Bette wonders if it could be hunters, but Jay insists it can't be unless it's an illegal hunter. On the way back to the camp, Jay tells Bette that he knows she doesn't like to be treated specially because of her condition, but he took the lead and prepared everything for her. Seeing this, Bette feels happy for all of her husband's kindness and care toward her, and she kisses him with love and gratitude. At night, the two sit around a campfire admiring the infinite beauty of the starry sky. While they talk about their lives, they hear a gunshot in the distance and become anxious since that wasn't supposed to happen. Jay says he will call the Forest Service, but Bette stops him, saying that the gunshot seems pretty far away and that by morning they will be far from here, so it is not necessary to do that. Besides, if he did, it would be the end of their adventure. That night, strange sounds are heard, followed by a bizarre growl in the distance. Inside the tent, Bette and Jay are sleeping when a sinister hand scrapes the tent. After another terrible nightmare, Bette wakes up gasping when she hears some sounds coming from outside in the forest. Noticing that Jay is not in the tent, she decides to go out and check. She walks a little outside with her flashlight when suddenly she hears a strange, high-pitched scream in the distance. It makes her fall in shock, dropping her flashlight. She picks it up and discovers she has fallen onto some strange sticky goo. Additionally, she sees tracks that appear to be huge footprints. To make things worse, she sees something moving in the distance and then running among the trees. Suddenly, Jay appears behind her, as he had gone out to relieve himself. The two return to the tent only to find it completely destroyed, covered in the same goo that Bette saw earlier when she fell. Besides the tent, their belongings were also damaged, such as her phone and boots. Jay also spots something completely strange in the middle of it all when they hear the strange high-pitched scream again, followed by terrifying roars and snapping branches. The situation leaves the couple desperate, forcing them to leave as quickly as possible. Bette suggests they head for a shelter she saw on the map, which is near the point where the trail splits. But Jay says that's about 16 kilometers away. Almost close to dawn, while walking, they are surprised by a strange smoke on a hill above them, falling behind a tree, and from it, a monstrous hand emerges, gripping the trunk. Bette becomes transfixed, seeing that, forcing Jay to pull her away to keep running. As they run, bizarre roars can be heard from all sides. In their panic, Jay ends up colliding with a tree trunk, but Bette helps him up. Jay says the shelter should be just a few more kilometers ahead, and they continue, hearing the roars more distantly now. Day breaks completely, and they reach a small stream. Jay wonders why they haven't found any trails yet, but at least it's been a while since the creature's roars were heard, indicating they may have evaded it. He seems to have spotted a trail ahead and moves away from Bette. At that moment, she sees the strange smoke again, and her eyes change color but quickly fade, returning to normal. However, Jay takes another step and gets caught in a bear trap, causing intense pain that makes him scream. Bet quickly frees him from the trap, but Jay has broken his fibula, and they can hear the creature's roar approaching again. Bet lifts Jay to get out of there quickly, but just a few meters later, Jay falls, unable to continue. Bet then says she will look for something to help, and then runs into the forest. However, the creature roars again, this time much closer, making her stop for a moment and look around. Bet continues, but this time she walks carefully to avoid making any noise. But accidentally, she steps on a dry twig, causing a noise that leads the creature to find her, surrounding her once again. Bet manages to escape running and, now further away, seems to have evaded it again. When she discovers some strange ruins, she enters them. There, Bet finds an unusual hole and looks at it for a few moments when something else catches her attention. Human skins are stretched out in the ruins, and behind one of them, Bet sees strange eyes watching her. This terrifies her, prompting her to run until she finds an old fallen tree. The creature seems to be looking for her when suddenly someone grabs her from behind and covers her mouth. At that moment, heavy footsteps can be heard approaching, followed by a growl and goo falling right in front of Bet, indicating that the creature is very close. After that, we see someone carrying injured Jay while Bet opens the door to some place. The location is a hideout of a strange man, who throws a first aid kit at Bet to use on Jay. The man introduces himself as Quinn and quickly tries to silence Jay, who screams while Bet tries to set his broken leg. Quinn tells them they must be silent to avoid attracting the beast to them. Then, abruptly, he forces Jay's broken bone back into the flesh, causing him great pain and making him pass out. At night, Bet finishes stitching and bandaging her husband's leg. Jay wakes up and shows the strange object he found at the campsite when the creature started attacking them. Quinn then says that the creature they are dealing with is known as the Wendigo. Jay seems to know the stories about this creature, mentioning that thousands of people go missing in the American wilderness every year. In the morning, Bet goes with Quinn to find the trail to later return for Jay. However, as they walk, Quinn suddenly disappears and leaves Bet alone. She walks in fear calling for Quinn when the Wendigo suddenly appears and knocks her down. It was about to attack Bet, but Quinn shows up shooting at the creature, which is still in smoke form. The creature flees, and Quinn runs after it through the forest but soon loses its trail, making him furious. Bet complains, thinking the man left her there to be used as bait, but Quinn says he noticed the being approaching and hid. He says that the shots affect the creature, but the only way to kill it is by separating its head from its body. Not finding any trail, the two return to Quinn's bunker. There, Bet examines Jay's injury, realizing it is infected, and that if he is not treated soon, Jay could die. At that moment, Quinn reveals that he cannot let Bet leave because he noticed she has some disease. He questions Bet about whether she has been having strange nightmares. Quinn states that the being not only feeds on humans but can also possess the body of someone susceptible, such as sick people or those close to death, as they are weaker. Bet then admits that she had cancer a while ago, but that it has returned. She did not reveal this to her husband because she wanted to have one last good memory with him before she died. Quinn says he cannot let her leave the shelter, at least not until he can kill the monster. He also reveals that he is there to eliminate the creature because it took his daughter some time ago, and now he lives to kill it. After a few minutes, Quinn falls asleep, and Bet finds a board covering something. She takes a matchbox before entering the compartment, and soon discovers it is a tunnel, so she descends and goes ahead to see where it leads. She arrives at a broader area with a horrible stench, and when she lights a match, she discovers several remains of human bodies. Afraid, she hurriedly exits that place. Upon returning, Quinn catches her, and Bet accuses him of being a monster killer. But the man says that the real monster is out there, and he will do whatever it takes to eliminate it. It is revealed that Quinn intended to use Jay as bait for the creature, and Bet asks him to do that with her instead. However, the man insists he won't let the creature take her because then she would become stronger. Bet, however, convinces him otherwise, saying that he has been trying for a long time with those useless baits and that she is now his best chance because the creature wants her alive. When it is time to go after the beast, Bet says farewell to Jay, but before she leaves, she takes the object Jay had found at the campsite when the attack began. Deep in the forest, Quinn tells Bet not to look into the monster's eyes, or it will dominate her quickly. At a certain point, they stop, because Quinn says the thing is near. He then throws Bet to the ground and shouts for the monster to come get her if it wants her so badly. Suddenly, the creature appears with monstrous roars and quickly changes to Quinn's daughter's voice, which makes him let his guard down and fall under its influence. The creature then strikes Quinn, making him fall to the ground moaning in pain. The being retreats, and Quinn crawls to a rock. Bet goes to check on him and realizes the creature has actually taken the form of Quinn's daughter. He confirms this, saying that's why he couldn't shoot the monster at that moment, as it could take her shape. Bet tries to convince him not to fight against the monster and to leave the forest with Jay, but Quinn gets angry and drags her to another place. Quinn takes Bet to the top of a hill where there is a log and a rope. He commands her to climb on the log and put the rope around her neck. However, seeing that the man is weakening due to his injury, she decides to attack him to get free. Still, Bet is unsuccessful, and Quinn forces her to do as he commands. Quinn adjusts the rope and shouts for the creature again. As he shouts, Bet reaches into her pocket for the strange object from before and strikes Quinn directly in the neck after getting his attention. The man moans in pain but does not die and hears the creature approaching with his daughter's voice. He stands up to hide and pull the rope that Bet is on, but he hands her a knife. With the rope tightened, Bet desperately tries to cut it to avoid being hanged. But she apparently cannot, and she faints. However, she cut it enough to make it weak, and a few seconds later, it breaks, and Bet falls. At that moment, Quinn runs through the forest while hearing whispers of the creature imitating his daughter's voice. Not long after, he falls to the ground, nearly dying from the blow he received. But before he dies, he sees the creature in front of him with his daughter's face and perishes, being taken by the monster afterward. It is night when Bet wakes up, grabs the knife, and runs back to the shelter where Jay is. She is followed by the creature, which makes noises around her. The supernatural being knocks her down and drags her to the location filled with ruins that Bet found earlier. There she sees Quinn's skin and starts to hyperventilate when suddenly she is pushed by the monster and falls into a hole. Moments later, she wakes up on a sacrificial stone. Bet stands up and looks around, seeing some rock art depicting a kind of sacrifice with a creature nearby. She also sees some human bones in the place and retrieves the knife, quickly grabbing it back. Bet cautiously walks through the area with the knife in hand when suddenly she is caught by the creature. She wakes up again on the sacrificial stone, stands up, and tries to leave once more. However, once again, the creature throws her back to the same spot. This repeats several times, as Bet does not want to give up and surrender to the creature. But when she becomes too injured, she decides to lie on the sacrificial stone and calls the creature, saying she gives up. The monster then surrounds her with deep growls and heavy footsteps. Its bizarre hands scratch the stone while it walks around. Suddenly, the monster stops and begins to open Bet's mouth to insert something into her. At that moment, Bet strikes the creature with the knife, causing it to roar in pain and throw it far away. Bet stands up and looks around, finally seeing the monstrosity in full, which is something completely terrifying. The creature throws Bet again and then lifts her into the air, releasing dreadful roars. At that moment, Bet sees the knife still lodged in the creature's chest and pulls it back. At the same instant, she stabs it directly into the mouth of the beast, which roars again in pain but falls to the ground this time. Bet hurriedly grabs the knife and separates the creature's head from its body, which finally dies, becoming nothing but rot. Bet starts to leave when something resembling a larva begins to follow her, but she sees it and crushes it, putting an end to that terrible being once and for all. Bet exits the hole and feels relieved that it's all over. As dawn approaches, she returns to Quinn's shelter where Jay is and thankfully finds him still alive. She then takes care of her own wounds, gives Jay some medication, and after properly bandaging his leg, she takes him outside. They walk a bit and breathe a sigh of relief as they finally manage to find the trail, which they begin to follow back home. However, as they walk, distant, haunting screams of the creature can again be heard.